It is a great day to be alive in Pittsburgh, PA. Welcome in. It's Kaboly+Mack getting you ready for the first weekend in 6 months without some sort of real football. The weekend between the conference championships and the Super Bowl 60, a little more than a week away out in California, between the Seahawks and the Patriots. It is Royal Rumble weekend, though, which I know Kaboom is as excited about as I am, maybe more so. I have a wild prediction for the Royal Rumble that we have to get to before the end of the show.
You know what I did? You know what I did,
What?
Mac?
What?
Mm.
What'd you do?
I did the Mac, as I would call it.
What's that?
A little cheater. I think I now live in Canada.
Oh, you got a little cheater box action.
Let's see if it works.
All
As
right.
you know, you buy YouTube TV, and still you can't get the PLEs. So
Oh, a little VPN action.
we'll see if it works. I think I did it correctly.
You'll find out tomorrow, 2:00, I guess.
Yeah, it's honestly on Netflix. It did say SmackDown Live tonight.
Oh,
I'm thinking,
you
watch
did it right then.
I
You
do
did it
then?
right.
All
Yeah.
right.
That's how I watch SmackDown every week.
All right, here we go. Here
All
we
right.
here.
Nobody repeat any of
here-
what we're
Okay.
saying to anybody with the authorities, okay?
I'm
We're
just
not-
saying, it's
this
not
is
like
all
I didn't purchase
theoretical.
it already. I purchased YouTube, and they promised me that comes with it, and it's not.
Mark Kaboly is officially declared for the Royal Rumble.
I'd be
That would be
into
great if you were there and
Speaking
it
of
was
that.
like I show speed and like somebody got hurt and they were like, kaboom, you got to get in.
I watched the first Royal Rumble last night.
The very first one.
Yeah, like 2 a.m. or something. It was not very well done. 1988.
Nah, things were much
You know what
different.
the main
40
event
years ago.
was? It was like a multiple fall tag team match between the Islanders, Haku, and I think
That was the main event?
those first two dudes I've never heard of.
Wow.
Then afterwards, the main event was over. They interviewed what's his name, Andre the Giant. That I could not understand one word he said. It was like rah 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 rah. I'm like, is he speaking English? It was bad.
Yeah. There's a comedian, Dan Soder, who does the best Andre the Giant impression in the history of the world. Go look it up after you're done watching today's show. We will talk a lot about assistant coaches today. Thanks to our friends from Higgins Professional Painting. I got to get them over here soon because, well, our house is a disaster right now. We had water leaking into the basement and had to call a plumber, had to get some things ripped out, had to get some things dried out. Anyway, we'll have to get some painting done is my point. We will have Higgins over here ASAP because they do a great job. You can see the beautiful wall behind Kaboom's there that they've done. That's just part of the work they've done at his house. Interior, exterior. They did not produce your face that is also sitting behind you. That came from game day before the Pitt Notre Dame game. Here nor there, Higgins Professional Painting will do a fantastic job. They've been in business for 40 years in the Pittsburgh area, doing just that, a fantastic job for people who need painting, wall coverings, drywall repair, all that. They'll handle it for you. When the weather gets nicer, exterior painting as well. Go to higginsprofessional.com to schedule your free estimate or give them a call at 412-344-0480. A special mystery guest going to check in 25 minutes, Kabooms. Do you want to drop any hints as to who it could be? Don't give it away.
He knows a lot of. He's quite familiar with Mike McCarthy and
Aaron Rodgers,
and probably Scott Tolzien, maybe Patrick Graham. We'll see.
Patrick Graham,
maybe or maybe not. I used to
cover
cover him in high school.
Some interesting connections there. I think you may have given it away. Here nor there. We will have a special mystery guest jumping in to the program
in the NFL too.
In about 24 minutes or so. Let's start with this since we're talking about the assistant coaching staff being built out. Let's start on the defensive side of the ball because there's a ton of question marks on the offensive side of the ball. Who's going to be the OC? Yada, yada. Some assistants have been hired, I think, but no one official on the offensive side of the ball as coordinator. Defensive side of the ball, it's been settled. It's Patrick Graham, defensive coordinator, correct?
Not officially, but officially unofficial.
unofficially official then.
Unofficial. Yeah.
He's been DC and Vegas for a few years now, and that's through multiple head coaching changes, which tells me that he's been pretty valuable to the operation there. If multiple head coaches held him over each time, that tells me that different people of different styles and philosophies and moods decided that it was important to keep Patrick Graham on. And I think he's done pretty good work with pretty substandard personnel outside of everyone named Max Crosby.
Yeah, over the past 2 years, I think he had pretty decent people to work with 3 or 4 years ago. But I mean, he was a name that came to the forefront really early, and I think he's just a very versatile coach. Even though they want to play the 3-4, I don't think he's going to be locked into. I'm a zone guy. I'm a man guy. I'm a cover 3 guy. Sort of like an all-around type of defensive coordinator, bringing different scheme types to it depending on what you need, which is interesting. And I like the fact that they're going to bring on a guy like Jason Simmons too, as an up-and-comer, a guy that's going to be able to learn and have some input as well. But it's so difficult to we just sit here and we look at coaches and we look at their past history and we're like, okay, that's not moving the needle for me. But you don't really know. I mean, how much do you know about their new offensive line coach? Nothing. How much you know about their offensive line coach turned running back coach? You don't know anything much about it. You maybe know a little bit about Tolzien. I don't know. So it's very hard to sit here and say this is a good staff, this is a bad staff. Because, I mean, how do you determine that right now? You don't.
Yeah, all you have is their past track record to go on. And then you've got to dig into what players were on each of those teams each year, who they've worked with, what head coaches they may have worked for in the past, what connections they have to McCarthy. All of that figures into it. And
it's
then
different, man. We've been screaming for want change. This is about as much change you can possibly get from the coaches to the head coach, the assistant coaches, the schemes, the way people, coach up players. It's going to be kind of a, what word am I looking for here? It's going to be kind of a crazy thought when you go in there and you see how much change there is.
A little bit of a shock to the system, you think?
I think that's what they want.
That should be, I think, the goal. That's the goal, I think, when you change head coaches, is to bring in, although, again, it wasn't their decision. Sounds like it was Mike Tomlin's decision. But here nor there, when you've got to change head coaches, I think, this isn't a Buffalo situation, right? Like, everything in Buffalo, for the most part, over the last 7 or 8 years, has been going well, other than falling short in the playoffs. And their owner made whatever decisions he did to fire Sean McDermott, and okay, they're going to just pivot to a guy who's in-house. Like, that's the exact opposite of this, in that they think things are going well. They needed to have a scapegoat for the playoff loss. Sean McDermott was the sacrificial lamb, and they're going to try to keep things as status quo as possible. This was, well, no, we've got to turn over a new leaf because our head coach is leaving, and it also affords us the opportunity to maybe push in a different direction because we know we got to find the next quarterback.
Yeah, the only issue you might have is some of the carryover players. I'm sure that, Jaylen Warren, and if it's Kenny Gainwell, he's not going to be too happy with Eddie Faulkner out the door. I'm sure Cam Hayward's not going to be very thrilled with Carl Dunbar out the door. Denzel Martin as well. I mean, so at that point, you just say, deal with it, man. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
you have to allow the head coach to bring in the people he sees fit.
Yeah,
or is comfortable with.
These can't all be player dictated decisions.
No, especially the older players. Like, you know what? With the Rodgers thing, okay, they're bringing all these guys in to bring Rodgers back for a year. Why in the hell would they do that when Rodgers is a 1-year stopgap if he comes back and this coaching staff could be here for a decade? Why would you do something like that?
Well, I'll say this. I don't know if they're going to hire anybody just because. they have a relationship with Rodgers, but I think they probably look at it as an advantage, right? Like if we'll use Scott Tolzien as an example, the quarterback's coach in New Orleans, who's being interviewed, I guess, next week for the OC position.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a relationship there with Rodgers and McCarthy. So, if a guy, I guess it stands to reason that people who worked with McCarthy in Green Bay in particular also have a relationship with Rodgers. Like that just tracks. That's going to make sense. But I think if you're looking at the idea of keeping Rodgers around for one more year, which just about everybody in the organization has been like, yeah, why not, including Mike McCarthy the other day, then it's an advantage to have somebody there who he has some familiarity with.
Yeah, I think the more familiarity is with the head coach rather than the quarterback. If he didn't, what's his name, Campen from the offensive line coach? I know that those two are buddies, but if Mike McCarthy thought he was a bum, first of all, he wouldn't have been on the staff for 12 years. And second of all, he wouldn't bring him in for that. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is saying, should I play or should I not play? Oh, they're bringing back the offensive line coach that I like? Yeah, I'll come back. I just don't think that's how it works.
No, but like I said, it could be an advantage. Like if they brought in some guy who Rodgers had zero relationship with to be their next offensive coordinator. Like, for example, the tight ends coach from Dallas, Wells, that I think they already interviewed virtually for the OC position. Aaron might not know that guy at all and might be like, I don't know if I don't think that's enough to completely push him off the edge of, I'm coming back. But like I said, it's a variable that I think he consider when he's walking the beaches of Malibu for the next month and a half, trying to figure out what he wants to do.
I would say that maybe keeping a guy like Arthur around, that might be something.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know about the other ones, to be honest with you. I don't think so. But I mean, I like you're adding, different, more coachings, not more coaches, but you got the established coaches. Then it seems like they're bringing this second level of younger guys. If it's Tolzien, doesn't have to be the offensive coordinator, but he got new ideas. Bringing in Patrick Graham, who's been there for, been in DC forever, but then bringing in Jason Simmons, who's an up and comer. I like the way that they're thinking right there. If that ends up turning out of how they go.
So Adam Henry as wide receivers coach, I'll admit I don't know anything about him. You mentioned James Campen as offensive line coach, maybe Jari Evans as assistant offensive line coach.
Which would be huge, right?
I mean, a guy who's fresh out of the game.
I mean, you talk about a guy's going to come in there and instant, name recognition, instant respect. It's going to be Jahari Evans, right? Yeah, like you said, I don't know much about Adam Henry whatsoever. I think obviously he has a past with McCarthy, but trust me, that's a pretty important hire.
He was Bill's receivers coach for the last 3 years,
so he's used to working with nothing.
Yes, exactly. Worked with the Cowboys a few years ago as their wide receivers coach, which would have been the beginning of the McCarthy era there. So some familiarity between him and McCarthy there. He's been around the block several times as a wide receivers coach. San Francisco for a year, the Giants for a couple of years, the Browns for a couple of years. I think I mentioned the Cowboys. I mentioned the Bills. I think the important thread in several of those offenses would have been the West Coast influence and how different the offense is going to look.
Yeah, I mean, even people grabbed onto him saying he's a West Coast guy, McCarthy, but they didn't hear what he said, about 10 seconds later. It's like, I got to be able to adapt to anything as well. Maybe there's their concept, but that's not like he's going to come in and think it's 1990 or 88 and Joe Montana throwing to John Taylor and Jerry Rice.
Yeah, no, I don't suspect. Look, the other interesting part of this, like I said, is the other OC candidate that we've heard about, Lunda Wells, who is a tight ends coach in Dallas. And this is a team with a bunch of talent at tight end. Maybe some talent at tight end that wasn't quite utilized right this past year.
Oh, bring him in as tight end coach.
Pat Fryermuth.
Bring him in as tight ends coach then.
Maybe.
I don't think you can do that, right? Unless his contract's up.
I'm not sure. You should know more about the
Well,
injury.
I mean, if it's a lateral move, they can block it. But if you're interviewing him, I mean, that's why they might be interviewing him for offensive coordinator.
What if you give him this is just a point of minutia, and maybe it doesn't matter. But like if you gave somebody the role of pass game coordinator, is that an upgrade from tight ends coach, or is that a lateral move?
That's a good question. I don't think they have those listed in the bylaws anywhere.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just a thought I had because some teams structure their staffs that way. Run game coordinator, pass game coordinator. Just look, just again, a point of minutia that popped into my head when we were talking about the tight ends coach from the Cowboys.
Who do they need? They need a tight ends coach we haven't heard much of, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, what are we looking at? D line coach, right?
Yep.
And an outside linebacker coach, right? If they choose to do that. I mean, so that outside linebacker coach was something that hasn't always been a part of their coaching staff. I mean, it has been for the past 5-8 years or whatever, but it wasn't always that way.
I don't think you take a step back and start hiring fewer assistants all of a sudden. I think you replace at the bare minimum, you replace what you have and maybe add on to it.
Yeah. I mean, but I think some of these staffs are getting ridiculously crazy too. You know, have 28 people, and it's like this guy's in charge of what? Going to run off papers, Xerox dittos, right?
Dittos.
There ain't nobody in that freaking comments knows what dittos are.
How old are you now? Yesterday was your birthday, by the way. Happy birthday. How old are you now? 75? You're talking about ditto sheets?
21, baby. You remember the purple dittos and they
yeah.
Run.
Anybody over the age of probably 38 remembers dittos, I think. You had them at some point when you were growing up in school.
Go down to the ditto room and get me the papers off the ditto machine.
Yeah, there's just purple ink everywhere.
By the way, these kids don't go back to school Monday. I'm going to kill somebody.
I will drive them to the school myself. And I will break down the door and they will sit in a classroom. I don't care if it's empty. They will go back to school on Monday. I can't do pre-algebra anymore. I can't write any more thesis statements. I'm done. I'm out. I'm tapped out.
I'm done with. I mean, I'm a little bit lower than that. I'm like, Joe went to the bakery and bought cupcakes. There's 24 cupcakes, 6 in the box at $3 each. How much did they make? And I'm thinking, this is about borderline my math right here.
That's above your pay grade, I think. Thanks to the Dan Heck team for supporting the program as well. We appreciate them. You're looking to buy or sell a home in the Pittsburgh area. They will take care of you. Go to heckteamhomes.com, HAECK, heckteamhomes.com. The entire team ready to take some of the stress off your plate when you're looking to buy and or sell a home. That's what they're there for. Check out the listings too at heckteamhomes.com, HAECK. The Dan Heck team, we appreciate their support of the program. I did want to bring this up because you wrote about Rodgers yesterday, and
he's coming back.
You're just doubling down on it now, aren't you? Doubling down.
I mean, like I wrote, many of people in that organization are at least under the impression that he wants to continue to play. Now, is that the impression, or they told him that? I don't know, but no, it's just lining up. He's coming back for another year. He just needs, like McCarthy said, he just needs to decompress. He's been around him long enough. You know what? Just leave me alone for 2 months, then I'll talk to you. But they are anticipating that answer within the first week or so of March, before free agency. You have to.
Well, yeah, because the question becomes, what do you do if he's not coming back?
Yeah.
And they probably try to find something in free agency if he's not coming back. Yeah. And there's not a lot out there.
Yeah, I haven't looked up. Is the Malik Willis market value out there yet?
I haven't looked, but please don't go down this path.
Oh, I don't want to. I'm very anti.
What about
It
the
says
idea
10.6.
somebody will be dumb and give him more than that? It'll happen. Somebody will give him a Justin Fields style deal like the Jets did last year.
It says projected contract estimates range between 10 and 15. So 2 for 27, 2 for 30.
I think somebody will give him in that range. Somebody who's desperate for a quarterback.
I'd much rather pay people like, Calvin Austin, Darnell Washington, Joey Porter.
Kenny Gainwell.
Plus, you have to pay. Honestly, you got to pay Aaron Rodgers. I mean, even if it is 10, 12, 15 million, if he's they wouldn't do both. I would say, I guess, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
So, I just don't want. I mean, Malik Willis has played what? Not much.
Not much at all, and he hasn't been. I mean, he had some spots, I guess, late this year where
like
he wasn't
games,
bad. Yeah. So the one that I have thought about a little bit more, and I don't get excited about
6 games in his life.
Yeah, the one that I've thought more about over the last week or so that I don't get excited about, but I could see them considering if they want to add another sort of veteran stopgap quarterback to the mix if Rodgers doesn't come back, would be Mac Jones. Like, I could see McCarthy and the offensive brain trust, whoever ends up being the coordinator, looking at Mac Jones and the way he played this year while Purdy was out and saying, maybe we can do something with that.
Huh? There's Jimmy G out there too, right?
No, thanks.
Well, he's a free agent, is what I'm saying. That's the problem. That's another reason why I don't think there's any downside of having Aaron Rodgers come back. Because what are you doing? You're looking at people like the same people, man. If you want the Flaccos, the Tyrod Taylors, and Jacoby Brissett's, they're out there, great. But why would you want those guys? I mean, the draft is what it is. If you're going to get one, he's not going to play. So I don't see any downside of Rodgers coming back unless they feel obligated to start him. Even if Will Howard somehow turns into the next Tom Brady, they'll be like, nah, we've committed to this guy. That's the only thing I can see as a negative.
But yeah, I don't. Scott, our buddy Scott Casto in the chat asked what our thoughts are on Kirk Cousins. No, thank you. Those are my thoughts on Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, you might as well just go with Aaron if you're going to do that. I mean, I think Aaron does want to come back, but I ain't going to put words in his mouth. Daniel Jones might not be ready until November, right?
Yeah.
So you can't go that route. So they're in a bad situation where, I mean, I wouldn't say they're in a terrible situation. They're in a great situation. But if you got Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph and Will Howard, I've seen worse quarterback rooms. And trust me, and I hear people floating out Kyler Murray like he's a target. He's not a target. Just because somebody talks well of him one time doesn't mean would fit here or would come here or they would want him here.
Well,
that's people just putting one and one together and saying, well, this guy could be available. So just like Nussmeier, right? Steelers all of a sudden enamored with Nussmeier because McCarthy and his old man were buddies or coached together.
Yeah, so I'll say this about Kyler Murray. I think he is maybe one of those targets. If you're a team that's looking for a quarterback who's just good enough and you have a really, really good defense, like I think Minnesota would be a great spot for Kyler Murray if they're not sold on J.J. McCarthy, which how the hell could they be sold on J.J. McCarthy right now? That would be a great spot. He works with a head coach, offensive guru type like Kevin O'Connell, has really good weapons, high-end weapons like Justin Jefferson to work with, and maybe has that Sam Darnold kind of revival to his career, right? Like I could see that, but I don't think Pittsburgh is there's just not a lot of great fits for a quarterback like Kyler Murray. Maybe Miami, Maybe there's some sort of weird swap between Miami and Arizona on their quarterbacks, even if it's not a trade. I don't know. Because I don't know if the Dolphins will be able to get anything for Tua in a trade. They probably just release him. Anyway,
you see Kyler Murray, man. He's making $23 million in base this year. You got the roster bonus due, March 16th of $17 million. So that's a lot of money for a guy that's been an underachiever.
Yeah, he needs to be in the right spot. Arizona hasn't been the right spot for developing a quarterback. I think Kyler Murray needs a lot of support to really truly develop.
I would be stunned if it was him.
Oh, I'd be stunned if it were Kyler Murray here, too.
I would be disappointed, too.
I'm just talking about him in other spots.
I would be, if you're going to go down that route, I would be all in on the Will Howard, Mason Rudolph. Forget that. I would be banging the table for, I want to see Will Howard. If he doesn't pan out, then go for Mason with a year rather than Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you, given what it would cost both in trade value and then
you're committed to him for 2 or 3 years too. So same with Malik Willis. Then you're committed to this guy. I don't know if I want to do
that. Breaking news in the last 15 minutes, shared with us by RL Wrestler 25 on YouTube. Vikings just fired Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, their general manager. I don't know why. Maybe because he let Sam Darnold go last year. Although maybe for drafting J.J. McCarthy. I don't know. But he just got fired. Doesn't affect the Steelers at all at the immediate outset.
Did they not just extend him?
I thought so.
Maybe 6, 8, 10 months ago? Somebody butting heads with old Ziggy.
That has to be it. One more quarterback issue that I think is worth asking about. Maybe not in relation to the Steelers specifically, but just league-wide. K-Law D on Twitter said Carson Beck with a third-round pick.
Only if he brings his girlfriend. What? I shouldn't be doing that.
I mean,
that was a lot of very long silence right there.
Yeah, I'm going to let that one slide on your behalf. I like the way Beck played in the back half of the season until he threw the killer interception in the national championship game.
Mason Rudolph might be younger than him.
I think some teams are going to look at him and look at his age and experience as an advantage.
Tyler Shuck.
And look at him as maybe like someone who doesn't need much seasoning to get thrown into the fire. So I don't know. I think Beck, maybe again, not for the Steelers necessarily, but I think Beck is an interesting name when we start getting.
We waste our times, man. It's going to be Aaron. It's going to be Mason. It's going to be Will Howard. It's going to be. Accept it.
I'm accepting of it. I'm just exploring the different possibilities, my man. That's all.
That would be a waste of time.
Exploring possibilities. That's all. Thanks to Archie's on Carson for supporting the program as well. Pittsburgh's best place for food, drinks, and sports. 80-cent wings Monday through Thursday nights. Best place to watch all the games. Maybe get down there on Super Bowl Sunday as well. And get yourself an ice-cold iron, icy light, mango, all on draft. The best place in the burg to watch sports, eat wings, and just in general, as the older generation used to say, kaboom, loaf. Hang out down at Archie's, Pittsburgh's best place for food, drinks, and sports.
And take the girl that you're going with to Archie's.
I'm gonna loaf with my pals and then take a girl I'm going with down to Archie's. All right, we got a legend. Our mystery guest has arrived. A Mon Valley, Steel Valley legend. There he is, the one, the only Luke Getsy.
There he is.
You guys are the best.
The man.
How you doing, man?
And the legend.
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing very well. It is cold as hell here, and other than that, everything is great.
Let me tell you a little backstory real quick. I used to cover Luke in high school. Not, he was a great quarterback, right? But what I remember the most is that Whitfield basketball run you guys had. What was that, 01, 02?
I think,
You were just
yeah,
dominant.
yeah, we had a good little team. I don't think many people thought we were going to do something like that. And we had a fun little run there.
And I heard you were a great second baseman too for the Ironman. I'm hearing this stuff. I've been hearing this stuff for years now.
A lot of stories being told back there, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you know how the rumor mill in Munhall is, Luke.
That's right.
I mean,
That's exactly right.
it swirls quick. It swirls real quick. So
I'm sure McCarthy's living in Munhall already, right? I'm sure that's where he bought a house.
we got to get him to move into one of these houses out here in TJ. There's new houses getting built all the time. We'll move him in right down the street from your sister. It'll be perfect. You can check in on him all the time.
That sounds good.
So let's talk about Mike. Obviously, you've worked closely with Mike a lot over the years. You've worked closely with Aaron. You probably just heard us kicking around the idea of Aaron coming back for another year. Just what is the relationship like? Because you're on the inside of it, right? You get to see how Aaron and Mike worked together over the years, and it produced some fantastic results. But we know both of them are, I wouldn't go so far as to say hard-headed, but they both got their own ideas about how they want to do things. How did those two work together when you were there as a part of that group in Green Bay?
Yeah, you got to remember that, Mike groomed Aaron from the beginning. So Aaron had an absolute conviction and belief in what Mike was teaching. And so the processes, the quarterback fundamentals, like all of that is ingrained in Aaron, and Aaron believes in it. And when we came back around the second time with Matt LaFleur, like that was ingrained in him, and you're not pulling that out of him. So the belief in what Mike teaches is very strong. And I think anytime that I don't know what it was, 13 years they were together or whatever. I think there's always, when you have that level of education in two different people, the conversations are just unbelievable. And sometimes you push each other, and sometimes it's like they can say something or even know what each other is thinking without even having to say something. And so it was really cool to be, when I came in the league in 14 and 15, I got to be in the QB room as a quality control. And so I got to kind of sit back and watch it. And it was a really cool experience for me, and it really helped prepare me for whatever was, to come after.
Luke, he's been so good at being able to develop quarterbacks over the years. I mean, we know him all. He's had some talented ones, but he's also had some ones he's pushed to the outer limits of, very, very good. What makes him so special at being able to do something like that consistently?
Again, it's his roots in being an educator, being a teacher. Like, he is just fabulous that way. Creativity in the way he delivers the message, and then the conviction. I mean, he believes it, and he's been believing it since he's been an assistant coach at Pitt back in the early 90s. Like, it's who he is, and it's what he believes in. And I think just his mentality and approach, the creativity he brings every day in the building and on the practice field is just, he's just a forward thinker. And I think as a play caller, it's just, there's not a lot of great play callers that come around, and I think he's one of them. The creativity, the timeliness, it's an art, and he does a great job with that.
A lot of people assume that when you're coaching offense and, like you said, you're bringing along a quarterback, grooming a quarterback, I think people get caught up, especially fans. Well, it's just the X's and O's. Teach them how to read this route or this progression. But you mentioned the relationship stuff, Luke, and I think that's how did you see and how have you noticed, whether it's comparing Mike to other coaches from around the league, how did you see him unlock that in certain quarterbacks in your experience?
Yeah, it starts with his humility, honestly. He's convicted in what he says and what he believes, but he also is open to listening and always willingness to listen and get better and grow. Like he just always has. And I think that always stood out, in the conversations with the quarterback. It's like, this is what I believe in. This is how we're going to teach it. And then if we need to make adjustments because you are better at this or you're better at that, or you do this, you don't, his willingness to adapt to the player. And then on top of it, like his personality and the connection he has with people. I give people the story all the time. In 14, when I got a QC job, I'm sitting in an office like this, and he gave me a job. And I thought, whenever a head coach gives you a job, you're supposed to just not leave until you are done with that job. And he comes walking in the building at like 9:30 at night, and he goes, "What the heck are you doing in here?" I'm like, well, coach, you gave me a job, so I'm going to do it. It was like my first week on the job. And instead of me doing that, he sat on a chair in my office with me and we talked for like an hour and a half about nothing to do with football or that, just that personal connection, I guess, is what, what he does as well as anybody I've ever been around. And it's honest and it's genuine.
Yeah, I'm assuming he talked about the Pizza King, right?
I'm a junction guy, dude. The salads on 8th Ave, dude. That's anytime someone comes to visit me wherever I go, they got to bring me a pie. So that's mandatory.
You and Aaron have a very good relationship. He always speaks glowingly of you. What if? How did that relationship come together? Of you guys really hitting it off over your years together in Green Bay? I think you're a receiver coach at first, and you moved on to quarterback coaching so far. How did that relationship manifest?
Yeah, I think again, that's my very first year just being quality control. My assignment was, for meetings and everything. I was in the quarterback room with Alex Van Pelt, Tom Clements, and Big Mike, and so we were all in the room together. I think Aaron always appreciates guys that earn their way to things, like he like he did, right? Going to junior college and then whatever, and having to sit behind Brett and then getting what he's gotten. And I think that was kind of the start. He appreciated the hard work and the kind of just willingness to just sit, listen, and not, feel like I'm the man right away as I'm going in somewhere. And that kind of started it. And then the conversations start. And when you start being able to help someone be better at what they do, they take notice. And then that's how I got into the receiver room. In 2016 was because of that relationship. And then in 2019, I left, or 18, I went to go to Mississippi State for a year. And then when Matt got the job here, it kind of all just made sense. And it was something that he wanted, and we were able to kind of jump on board. And I was a really good in between at the beginning, being in Mike's system, learning Matt's system, and like helping him kind of make that bridge from one to the next. And I think that was kind of a critical part of all of this for him to have so much success there in 2020 and 2021.
You've worked with a number of different young quarterbacks over the years, Luke. How do you try to identify how different their learning curves may be based on their experiences, just based on watching them in practice, breaking down game film? How do you identify, like, hey, I know this guy may need to work on A, B, and C more than X, Y, Z, or he's got to work on the entire totality of his game from top to bottom? How hard is it to identify the different learning curves you've got to adjust to and then help them grow and work through that?
Yeah, I think the first part of it, and Mike, from when, like I said, I keep referring back to when he was at Pitt and Paul Hackett, and they did the QB school that they did in San Francisco with the 49ers, and he took it to Kansas City and New Orleans and San Fran again, and then, Green Bay. But the QB school is a process. And so you start at the bottom and you work your way up, and it's like bare bones. This is how you identify defense. This is how you identify an offense. This is how we talk about protection schemes. And then you get into the footwork of the quarterback. So before you ever even talk about a play, like you grind through a month's worth of stuff that you're preparing the quarterback for knowledge so that you can have really good communication with them as you go forward. And again, I learned that all from Mike and Tom Clements and those guys. And I think that all that stuff just prepares them for the opportunity. Now you make it to the practice field, and now you start talking about progressions, reads, and things like that. And then the application of it is it's just a process. And I think what Mike does isn't a simple thing, but at the same time, the way that he teaches it, it makes it really easy to kind of jump on board pretty quickly.
Luke, Steelers are going to be interviewing Scott Tolzien here for the offensive coordinator spot. You were the quality control coach, I believe. 2 years he played. 2 of the 3 years he played in Green Bay. Could you tell at that point that this guy had that keen sense of being an offensive coordinator, an offensive play caller, like he's turned out to be?
Yeah, I think the work ethic was ridiculous. He was someone who honestly, fundamentally, was kind of like out of sync, and we put him through the QB school for those 3 seasons, and you could just see his work habits to make him an efficient passer and someone who was able to go out and play and start a few games and have some success as a player. But the work ethic and the football IQ part of it was just something that was innate. And Scott's such a great dude too. just a great teammate, and like I said, he'll work his ass off like just like anybody else would. And I think he's more than ready for an opportunity like this, without a question.
How do you – there's been a lot of talk over the years about the intricacies of the West Coast offense and the variations off of it. How do you – I know you broke down, like, you start from the ground up with footwork and working through progressions. How do you work with a quarterback who's fresh to the system, maybe hasn't worked with some of the concepts? And I don't want to say dumb it down. That's the wrong way to put it. But how do you simplify it for them so that they can adapt to it more quickly? I'm thinking in particular, like a guy like Will Howard, who's probably worked nothing but shotgun in his experience in college and worked within certain systems. All of a sudden, he's going to get introduced to an offense here in the next couple of weeks and months that maybe he hasn't worked in before.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I asked.
Your question was so difficult that he went black.
Yeah, well, I tried to get inside the West Coast offense, and
that's that Green Bay internet.
Green Bay internet. Hold on, we got it back.
There we go. It's cold. That shouldn't affect the internet. But like I was going to say, like Malik Willis comes into our system here, right? At the end of training camp, basically, and has to get ready to play. I think it was like week 4, and so he didn't have all the tools that Aaron Rodgers had whenever he was playing in it. And I think that's, the significance. Can that last through a full season? Probably not. But you're able to play the game in a certain way for a few weeks with a guy that's kind of fresh in the system. But it truly goes back to that off-season process. It really does. And this is kind of the difficult task that we're faced with now, because the off-season is shorter than it's ever been before, and the access that you have to the players is less than it's ever been in the off-season. And that's why training camp is like a huge time and grind to opportunity to dive in and make sure you're not skipping steps, because that's the one thing I've learned in coaching as much as anything is you can't skip steps and expect guys to be able to like take it to like 201, 301 classes. Like Jordan Love had a great opportunity here to sit back for a year and learn, and then sprinkle in a little play in year 2, sprinkle in a little play in year 3, and then was able to take off because he didn't have to, he was able to take each step. And now that doesn't happen very often anymore. Like you're not getting 3 or 4 years to develop somebody. But I think as you play the games, it's important that you don't take them too far until they're ready to handle all that stuff.
Look, I'm sure you saw Big Mike's press conference, how he got emotional coming back home. This might be an unfair question to you because you currently have a position, but do you ever want to come back? What do you think it would be like to come back and coach for your hometown team if you would ever get that opportunity?
Yeah, that'd be pretty special. I mean, it really would. Like you said, you don't. There's only 32 of them, right? And so, like, it's not like this is an easy thing, and you work your ass off to get to where you want to get to. And there's highs and lows, and it is what it is. But growing up there and how special the Steelers are to anybody that's from there, right? And watching those guys in the early 90s, like I was part of the team, right? It would absolutely be special. And I was able to talk. I was talking with Mike the morning before it was Saturday in the morning. A few hours later, he got the job. But I could just feel the joy and the excitement like through the phone. And it was like pretty incredible. And it was something like, yeah, that would be really, really cool one day to be able to get that done. And just not right now, but one day we'll try to get that done.
Were you surprised that he got choked up, or does he?
Oh,
does
no.
he? Does because he's a hard on the sleeve kind of guy, right?
100%. He is authentic, and raw emotions are going to be there, and it's his passion. Like one of the first team meetings I ever sat in the meeting room listening to him. It's just his presence and his passion is just authentic, and it just rolls. And that's what's there's a reason why he's won 180 whatever games in this league.
I know Aaron always would make fun of him for his Pittsburgh accent, and Pittsburgh reference, but you probably sitting around saying, "I don't see anything different." What do you mean he's talking like this, right?
No,
I make fun of him for that in Green Bay.
It was my job to try to get everybody in this building to talk like a Yinzer. So I'm on my way. I'm about halfway through the building, so we're getting there.
Before we let you run, Luke, I got to ask you. You worked with Patrick Graham out in Vegas for a little bit. It's not officially official yet, but it sounds like it's coming down the pike soon that he'll be a defensive coordinator under Mike. Just what do you think he brings to the table?
Yeah, I mean, Pat's extremely brilliant. Like crazy smart, and the style of defense I think will fit what everybody in Pittsburgh's accustomed to, and that 3-down scheme that the scouting department has been picking the same exact player since like 1988. So it's just like, let's just keep this train rolling. Why it's not broken. Let's not fit. We don't need to fix this thing. It's awesome, and I think it'll just be a really nice fit. Pat worked for Mike in Green Bay. I think it was in 2018, so the relationship's already there as well.
How do the players respond to Pat? I mean,
it was good. You're talking about a culture that wasn't very like the greatest culture in the world for that season. So that experience in Vegas is a little different. But great. Those guys love playing for him. I think they have respect. He's got great presence, and Max played as well as anybody in Pat's scheme, and wanted to keep him there for all these years. I think he made it through like 4 head coaches.
Yeah. I hear Wes Mifflin's looking for an offensive coordinator. What do you think?
Well, tell my brother to go do it, right? Shit.
Family affair over there.
Yeah, he should. It needs to be. I mean, let's go get the Titans. I can't be saying that because that's my old rival. I know they don't even really mesh anymore, right? Still Valley, West Mifflin. That's not really.
I was gonna say, do you give your brother-in-law shit now for being a Titan?
Oh, we always have. He's a Titan. He's a Titan through and through. That's where he's from.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've always given him shit for that. Absolutely, 100%.
Well, Luke, we appreciate you taking the time, brother. Seriously, we appreciate it. We know, like you said, the off season is shorter than ever, and you guys got a lot to work on. I'm sure LaFleur's got you all working the grindstone right now. So we appreciate you taking the time, man. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Great to see you guys.
All right.
Yep,
see you.
See you. Thank you. Luke Getsy joining us here on Kaboly+Mack. Great stuff from him about Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers, developing young quarterbacks.
You got a guy that has direct ties to basically 4 key players on this team. Potential. I mean, players, coaches, I'm saying. McCarthy, Graham, Tolzien, Aaron.
Rodgers. Yeah.
I'm sure there's more there that I just haven't even – well, he probably knows Camp too, right?
Yeah, probably from time in Green Bay, I would think.
I want to say, Luke, why the hell didn't you come back here? But you got pretty.
He's literally sitting in his office.
No, that's why I said it was a little unfair to ask him about if he ever wanted to come back here.
Hey, Luke, I'm going to whisper because I know LaFleur's listening.
Hey,
you want to come back?
Hey, you talked to Big Mike right before. Or did he say, come on over with me?
I'm going to need a quarterbacks coach. You want to come?
Yeah, Luke had it rough in Vegas. He had it rough in bad Chicago teams. He hasn't really coordinated many talented groups over his opportunities. I still think he'll eventually get another coordinator job / having a shot at the, a head coaching job. I mean, he's been everywhere, man.
Yeah, I mean, but it sounds like a great relationship with LaFleur.
Senior offensive assistant. I mean,
yeah.
What are you going to do? I mean, but I know Aaron really banged the door for him to come back. And when McCarthy left, he obviously went to Mississippi State. Well, you can't pass up an offensive coordinator's shot at that point. But it was only a year later. He's like, all of a sudden he comes back to Green Bay as a quarterback coach. Yeah, I wonder who had that say-so in that, right?
Yeah. So thanks to Luke for making the time, though. That was awesome. Like I said, great insight.
Mon Valley guy.
Yeah, I mean, come on. When you can get the Mon Valley involved at an NFL level.
He could fling it with the best of them in high school before they went to this stuff now, where everybody's throwing the ball from the 4 wides and stuff. I think wasn't he the Whippeal passing leader for a long time?
Yeah, I think so.
I believe he was.
So thanks to Luke again for jumping in. We appreciate it. Kaboom's house is warm this morning because Impact HVAC saved his bacon the other day.
Oh, I talked about you too, man. So go ahead, go through your read here. But I got some dirt on you.
Okay. Yeah. Guys at Impact got over there, took care of the furnace that needed to be taken care of. You need that, especially this time of year. You can't be without the furnace for more than a few hours or everything goes to hell. At Impact HVAC PGH, you can message them right there on Facebook or give them a call, 412-297-1852. But Kaboom, like I said, is nice and toasty warm this morning because they took care of him the other day.
Yeah, apparently he was talking to me. My downstairs is always cooler because it's downstairs. So that I think he might be coming back in the next couple of weeks or something to put some kind of infrared heater in my room.
Whoa.
He says it's going to be really easy. Just mount it to the wall and the gas and boom, boom, boom. I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, he was telling me some stories about you.
I'm sure.
You. It was about, it all comes down to this, though. Now, I will be, unless you've talked to Tony recently, you being the big Y108 fan, the guy.
Yeah.
He's going to pull a Chris Mack on you.
Oh?
Who's coming to town?
Well, there's a lot of people coming to town.
Who's coming to town? Country music's legend.
Lots of them. The concert calendar is ridiculous. Jason Aldean.
He might be hitting the Maxter up for some Jason Aldean.
Everybody's going to be hitting me. Everybody's already hitting me up for Jason Aldean tickets. Just relax.
Hey, the ones you had set aside for me, you could give it to him.
Okay, yeah, because you won't be making. That's the night before the draft. You got to be rested up before
that. Is that when it is, really?
Yeah, it's called the night before.
Be the worst time to come here.
No, it's the best. Everybody's in town. It's a huge party down at Rivers Casino.
Where's it at? Is it the
event center at Rivers Casino?
Is that where his?
Yeah, that's where we're doing the show.
No. Where is Aldean's show at?
At the event center at Rivers Casino. It's 4Y108. He's coming into town just for us to do a show.
Oh, I thought you were doing some kind of big thing. I'm not even paying attention.
It is big.
I meant like stadium show.
Like Heinz Field.
So he's coming in to do it for you. You're going to give out tickets left and right, brother. You're done. I heard Jeremy Piven's going to message you.
All right. We're going to leave that
Tony,
one too. Before we wrap it up here, just a couple more minutes.
Non-committal on Tony's tickets.
I'll get people tickets if I can get people tickets. There's going to be a limited amount available.
You got to give
60,000 seats.
I told you, give him the ones that you're going to give me.
Okay, fine. Royal Rumble, Saturday, 2:00 in Riyadh.
Not a big fan of the 2 p.m. start, but whatever.
What are you going to do? Who wins?
Oh, I did my predictions. I can't remember what I said now.
You can't even.
I'm doing something goofy, man. What's crazy to me is I don't understand why Gunther's still in the Royal Rumble if he's also fighting AJ. So I'm thinking AJ beats him earlier in the card. Then Gunther comes back and wins the Royal Rumble.
Ooh.
So AJ stays around. Gunther gets an opportunity to face whoever he wants to at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Maybe AJ somehow finds a way to get a title before then. So I'm thinking Gunther's going to win that one. I don't understand why he's in it, so that's why I'm a little curious, little stranged out by it.
Okay,
women, it should be Rhea, man. They need to get her off the freaking, get her outside that stupid tag team.
Why is it stupid? People love it.
Honestly, dude, there's 4 superstar women, and they're all 4 like involved in tag teams with Charlotte, Alexa, Rhea, Io. Come on, let's do. Rhea deserves to be on top. I think she's going to be there. But you know what? I didn't pick her. I didn't pick her though.
Who are you picking?
I picked Liv Morgan to beat her.
I like that. I could see that happening. You're breaking up a tag team there too.
Gunther and what's the other match? I forget now.
I don't remember what else is on the card, to be honest. I'm just thinking about the 2 Royal Rumble matches.
Oh, Drew McIntyre's. No, Drew's not wrestling.
What are you doing?
Who the hell else is wrestling?
Come on. Get it together, WWE.com.
Drew and Sammy, yeah.
Yeah, I heard a theory, kind of like your Gunther theory, that
he could come back in.
Yeah, that Sammy loses to Drew and then comes out for the Rumble. It's Riyadh. There are 2 places where Sami Zayn always gets a massive push, like a 2-card push, and it's always in Saudi and Montreal. And so I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
He's like a bad cold you can't get rid of. Sami Zayn, he's just always around, always around. But he still needs to get his title. He hasn't won a world title. So maybe this will be the chance of him having that opportunity, right?
But I have Logan Paul winning the Rumble. What do you think of that?
Ooh, Logan Paul, even though he's the one that came out and said Braun has to win.
That's exactly why. I think we get a little divisiveness in the vision. I think we get maybe something happens between Braun Breaker and Logan Paul in the Rumble.
I don't think Logan Paul necessarily needs division.
I think he wins. Braun Breaker is a solid pick too, but that's just too obvious.
Who's your pick for surprise entrant that we don't know of course?
I mean, is saying Jericho a surprise at this point?
Yeah, it would be a surprise.
I think so. Who else that could be considered a surprise?
Oh, I mean,
like Joe Hendry popping up for the Rumble isn't a surprise anymore. Like it's almost expected.
You know who's going to be one of the final 5 or 6? I think is going to be Obafemi.
Yeah, I told you the other day he's going to come in at like 2 or 3, and he's going to last like an hour and a half before he finally gets eliminated.
Because we haven't seen him since Saturday Night Main Event.
Yeah,
really. So I think he needs to come make a statement there. So I think
major push coming for that guy.
I still think Seth Rollins shows up, but I don't know if that would be a shock.
I saw another theory recently. It's way too involved. I won't get into it, but it involves Austin Theory kind of working behind the scenes subversively with Seth Rollins to break up the division. I know you hate Austin Theory.
It's just dumb.
He's not dumb.
I said the whole gimmick is dumb.
I don't think it's dumb. I think it's good.
It's not going to last.
Okay, whatever you say.
I don't
think here's a good one that I've seen thrown out there. Women's Rumble. Bianca Belair comes back and wins.
Yeah, I see. The only problem with that is she doesn't need to win. She already hates Jay Cargill as it is, so why does she need to? Excuse me while I sneeze. I felt it coming on. No, it's not. Why do they need to push her to win the Rumble to set up a match with Cargill, which is they already have beef? So I think that. Plus, didn't they do that last year with Charlotte? Surprise! Somebody come back from injury, wins the Rumble.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I look at there. So
okay, fair enough. It all goes down Saturday afternoon, and Kaboom will have it on his cheater box. As long as it holds up, as long as the internet connection holds up. We will be back early next week.
I got to pay for it.
We'll be back early next week. I imagine we'll have more news about the Steelers coaching staff getting filled out. Of course, we may react to the Royal Rumble. What's that?
Andy Weidel staying in town, so
that's good news. Although the Minnesota opening,
I still don't think. I don't think. Like I said, when I broke the news, Andy Weidel was going to Atlanta, that he wasn't going to get that. He didn't even get a second interview. That's not saying he didn't deserve it. I'm just saying it was a little bit too quick. I would anticipate him being a hot commodity next year in the GM search.
I would think so, especially depending on how they do with this year's draft, which there's just not a lot of offensive talent out there. I don't know how they're going to fill out the receiver room.
I think Ben said this the other day, and I know where Ben heard it from because the same person told me this stuff. Build out everything around the team, then insert quarterback to have him a better opportunity to be able to succeed.
Well, it makes sense.
I've heard that a number of times.
It makes sense given it's worked in other places. And also, there's not any quarterbacks available out there who you can drop into this situation right now. So,
and if I knew Ben was going to be like doing a media tour, I would have freaking called him up to come on the program.
We can call him up.
Oh, he's been on Mac's show. He's been on Max and whatever. Who's that? Who does him? Williamson?
Yeah.
And he was on another show I just saw recently, 2 Plus His Own. doing his rounds.
Call him up.
And now it's like,
no, it's not. Anytime Ben wants to come on, he's got a standing invite. So you make a call or two, okay?
I'm thinking about, wow, Luke Getsy, man. You see, who knew that a relationship covering him in high school in 2002 could pay off right now?
Yeah. It worked better than me trying to work through other means. You're always more efficient at this stuff than I am. But thanks to Luke for coming on. Next week, obviously, like I said, we'll talk more about the assistant coaching staff as it gets filled out. And
Tony Impact just messaged me and said, "Where's my tickets?"
Oh, jeez.
No.
Everybody wants them. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay warm. We'll talk to Yins again soon. Make sure you're following on all your social media and subscribed on YouTube to Kaboly+Mack. See you.